Hi, so we actually just got back from vacation. Yeah, random time for vacation, I know, but we went to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, right on the beach. It was so relaxing, so fantastic, and we went kid-free. What? We don't even know what that is. It was my first time on a plane, and it was Jason's first time at the beach. We went with my husband's boss slash our landlord and my husband's boss quite literally took us on a vacation with 4 other coworkers, I believe, and 1 other spouse. We were gone from the 15th, Friday through Monday. We left Friday morning, we got back Monday night. It was beautiful, it was amazing. Maybe I'll insert some photos on the screen or a video clip or 2, I don't know. But it was much needed, it was much appreciated. Yeah, I want to go get in it.
There's a DJ up there too.
Huh?
DJ.
Oh, really? Yeah. Good. I believe yesterday was our first full day home because we had to go and pick up our kids the next day. Anyway, I came back to a few surprises, and one of the first things I did when we got back was come through and check on my plants. So I thought this would be an appropriate time to do a favorites video. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of show you guys what some of my plants are doing at the moment and some of my favorites that are just really popping off and doing really well for me this November. So yeah, I don't know, this probably go up around Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving. We're just gonna kind of sit back and relax and look at some beautiful plants. So if that sounds like a plan, hi, how you doing? It's Sam. Welcome back to my channel. Let's get into the video. This is my lovely Aglaonema Ice Queen, variegated. She was, I believe, from Hawaii, and she didn't have this baby. She didn't have all this growth, and she didn't have all this white. So for the first several months in my care, I wasn't giving this plant enough light because it was giving me only green leaves. There wasn't any variegation. It's hard to even find any of them left now because she's all variegated again, but there was no variegation producing on any of the new leaves, aside from the old ones, of course, that she was shipped to me with. So I moved her in here into my cabinet, and immediately the next new leaf I got was beautifully variegated, and she's just been living her best life ever since. You can see how intense the white has actually became on this foliage. Now, I really enjoy this plant. I really enjoy just like seeing it in my cabinet, taking a peek at the new leaves that comes in. It is such a vigorous grower, and the variegation is just so perfect and snowy. This is a perfect plant because it's actually snowing today for the first time this year, well, this season, I should say, and she's an ice queen for sure. So even a little tiny pup, when it came in, was giving green leaves. Put it in my cabinet under the grow lights, and it has went variegated as well. So I'm really happy that I was able to get her back on track. I love Aglaonema. I like this type of leaf, and I specifically like this type of plant because of its growth rate. And typically, they're relatively easy to care for once you figure them out. I've definitely struggled with some different varieties before, but once you figure it out, it's just kind of like, don't change anything. And that's what I've done for her. I've left her in the cabinet in the same exact spot in the cabinet, and she just continued to thrive. But I'm sure if I moved this plant out or put it somewhere else, there is a very high probability that we could start having issues. She could stop growing. She could cut back on her variegation. So we're not going to do that. The Ice Queen Aglaonema variegated is just stunning. Just stunning, and I love it all the time, but especially now that it's really put out all this new growth and it has so much white on it, I'm obsessed. Look at this leaf right here. I'm obsessed. Love her. Oh, this is so exciting. So exciting. I'm trying really hard not to knock any of the blooms off, though. What's happened there? It's blooming through the leaf. Oh, no. I just broke the bloom off. Shit. They're so delicate. Damn it. Oh, little one. Please. Please. Okay. All right. Now this plant needs water. I have been doing some watering since we got back, but most of the plants that I'm showing you today need a water, and I'm going to be watering them as soon as I'm done filming. Keep that in mind, please. This is my Begonia natunensis, and she's been doing good, okay? So she is growing. Look at this new leaf here. That new leaf. We have another one down here. Look at these leaves. It's so good. I cannot wait till this plant is just like so much more full and the leaves get really large, because it's fascinating. But I really wanted to focus more specifically on the fact that she is flowering for me already. I really truly did not expect this to happen so quickly. But one thing I can tell you, begonias love my purple slash blue pink lights, whatever you want to call them. The purpley blue, the multicolored strip lights. They're so cheap, they're so affordable, they're so like easy to get your hands on. Begonias absolutely love them. They thrive under them. They grow super well. The leaves get like super sun stressed, I guess you could say, and gets the really pretty red or purple coloration. And they flower really regularly under these lights. So I tend to try and keep my begonias on one of these shelves under one of these types of lights rather than like natural light or my Mars Hydro. So I just think this is precious with the little tiny dainty white flowers with the yellow center. They're so cute. We currently have 2 different bloom spikes here. I don't know if you can see that one. They're so little. I'll definitely have to get some B-roll because I know you can't see them. But I am very pleased with this and pleased to say that it is growing and it's also flowering. That made my day whenever I seen those flowers coming in. I noticed them coming in like several weeks ago, but they just really popped. While we were gone and came back, the bloom spikes got taller, more flowers came in, a second spike came in, and yeah, so that's pretty exciting. I'm really enjoying this one. Even if it wasn't flowering, I would still be loving it, but the flowers just kind of like validate that this is a favorite right now. So, oh cutie. But my goodness, those little flowers are delicate, so be careful. Okay, so this is an update for those of you that have been following along my Philodendron patricia journey. You know how long this was a wish list plant for me. You know how hard they were to come by and how expensive they were. Mine that I had gotten last year never did well. It never grew. It gave me 1 leaf, I think. It was just doing terribly, and it was actually made it to the list of plants that I was going to get rid of. But lo and behold, you guys suggested like, no, just keep it, give it a chance. Switch it from sphagnum moss over to soil so we can get some nutrients and just like see. So I listened, I kept it. I moved it to soil. Honestly, before I even put it in my grow cabinet, it immediately shot off a new leaf. Immediately shot off a new leaf. So this is the old one that's still barely hanging on. I need to remove it. It's just in the way at this point, but I've left it just to kind of like help the plant out. It immediately had pushed off this little tiny leaf. The leaf said the new growth is little, but it's there, and that's all that matters, and it's healthy. Pushed off this leaf. I moved it into my cabinet. It immediately started pushing off a secondary leaf. And that is this one, the newest one. Is it hardened off? It might be hardened off by now. It feels kind of, I don't know, babyish still. But also there's another growth point. I mean, it's a philodendron, and most philodendron, depending, I guess, they do that. They grow fast, they put up a leaf, and they usually have another growth point right behind that new leaf. Well, we're finally on the right track. I am so happy. I'm so pleased. I'm very, very thankful that I did not get rid of the plant and that you guys actually stopped me from doing so. Because look, what a little love and faith can do for a plant mama. So yeah, here's an update on this one. It's not the prettiest looking at the moment, of course, but it's on my favorites because it is currently a favorite, because it did a complete 180 turnaround, and now we're getting places, we're going places, and I'm thrilled. I am thrilled. Look at this plant. Wow. So I'm typically not a huge fan of like the royal philodendron family. I used to love princesses, but they've let me down time and time again. So like the princesses, the white knight, I do love the dark lord. I have that one and love that plant. Very near and dear to my heart. But I'd only really ever grown when it comes to like the white variegated royal philodendron. I believe it's the white knight. I'd only ever grown the white knight. I hated it. I've tried a couple of them. I had gotten one smaller, I've gotten one larger, and I hated it. They never do well for me. They always like crinkle up their leaves and downsize and rip their leaves, have weird discoloration, and I dislike that plant, and I kind of wrote it off. I don't actually remember what led me to want to try the white wizard. I just kind of assumed it was the same thing as the white knight. It would be like the same experience and a lot of the other royals that I've tried. But no. So this is the white wizard that I decided to give a chance. I think I actually got this at like a Walmart or something. It's been a while, a couple years at least at this point, and it's just really taken me by surprise. I am loving this plant, and I have been for quite a while because it's just been growing so nicely. Now we did have a moment where it was starting to kind of like downsize, because you can clearly see how large some of these older leaves are. So it has downsized. There is another little plantlet down in here that's doing some funky things. I'll have to like check into it and see what it is. Oh, there's two more. Okay, there's a couple different little plantlets in this one pot that have popped up. But if you look at all of its like, look at this. These leaves are perfect. They're smaller, sure, but they're like perfectly round and chubby, and the variegation I just think is quite nice. I don't know, I think it's quite nice. And this is the newest leaf on the mother plant here, the main plant in the pot. And it supports itself. There's nothing in here, obviously, for stability. I do intend on giving it a pole. Like, I think if I put something in here for it to climb, it would really upsize and look even more beautiful. And I'll probably have to like up pot it as well when I do that, because there's really no room left in this pot. However, the Dark Lord, which doesn't grow like the Princess and the White Knight and the Wizard and all of these varieties, so that one I really don't think can compare. This is my favorite and really the only one that I like aside from that one out of the royal family with this growth habit. And I love it. Every time I walk into my plant room, it's the star of the show. It's the only plant, it's the first plant that I notice on the shelf that it sets on, and there's so many plants on that shelf. It's a big plant stand. The first plant that I notice when I walk in, because it's just like, look at it. It's stature and just variegation. It's so good. This plant has redeemed the royal family, but I definitely am not going to be trying any of the other ones again anytime soon. But this one, yeah, I really like it. My goldfish plant, my OG goldfish plant. You guys know I got a new, different one recently, but it's just a baby. Don't ask me which goldfish plant, but all I know is this is just like your standard little glossy leaf, orange bloomed goldfish plant, hangs in my kitchen window. I have had this basic goldfish plant for many, many years, but this is my first time like venturing out into other varieties. So this is kind of like an OG for me. I've always been able to grow this particular one well and get it to flower and stuff. It does need up potted really bad. Its soil's super compact, crusty, dusty. Like it needs up potted. I'm waiting to get some larger hanging baskets to up pot some of my hanging plants. But it's not even just the flowers that I love about this. I really love the foliage. I love the sporadic growth and the way the vines just kind of grow all wonky and crazy and wild. And these really cute little shiny, succulent looking leaves. Yeah, it looks very succulent. And look, it's blooming. So I'm only currently getting a couple of blooms on this guy at a time, and I genuinely do believe that's just because it needs repotted. I think once I repot it into something bigger, give it some fresh, nutrient-filled soil, that it'll be flowering again all over the place super regularly. Right now, I believe we have 3 or 4, and the blooms just look like little goldfish. They are the cutest little blooms you've ever seen. It looks like a goldfish just like doing that. So cute. I love having this one in my kitchen. Just kind of hanging there at my sink. I just pull it down, pop it in the sink, give it a good spray down. And yeah, it's growing really well. It's thriving. And I can't wait to get it up potted because I think it's just going to be like even more wild. It's going to be wild. Goldfish plant are super duper easy. Really easy to get your hands on. I've been seeing lots of different really cool, fun varieties popping up at Lowe's. Plants that I didn't even realize were goldfish plants at the time. And I'm definitely going to be picking some of those up when I head back to Lowe's. I love a good goldfish plant. Same with lipstick plants. I really love those as well. They're easy bloomers, they're fast growers, and they make really great hanging baskets. So, lemon goldfish plant. Yes. Now, for my favorite, Calathea. Calathea, however you say it. I've always called them Calathea. I'm probably going to continue to do so. My OGs will know this plant as well. My Calathea rotundifolia / fasciata. It goes by both as far as I know. This is my baby. Like I love this Calathea so much. I've had this plant for a very long time as well. I got this from Plantarina. It's one of the easiest going, fastest growing Calathea I've ever grown, and I've had basically every kind you can imagine at one point or another, and I've sworn them off because I have too many plants and kids and like things on my plate to have that many Calathea. So only a few have stuck around, and this is one of them. A few months ago, I made the grave mistake of putting this plant in direct light. Calatheas, prayer plants in general, do not like direct, super bright light. Don't do it. They'll crisp and curl their leaves. They'll throw a fit. Yeah, I did that. No, I knew better. I completely knew better. I don't know why I did it. Put it under a grow light like this close to it, and it threw a fit and lost every single leaf crisped up. It wasn't growing. It was just a mess. Okay, it was a mess. And so I realized what I had done. It was only there for maybe like a month, and then I realized what I did, and I moved it just a few weeks ago, and now it's already replenished itself more or less. All of this is new growth. I've removed most of the bad leaves now. I'm just really proud of it. I'm thankful. This plant, I'm not even gonna lie to you, has had to start over more times than I could count, but it does so effortlessly. It really does. It's so easy and forgiving in that sense. Yes, they're divas, but this one, I don't know. And you can see, even still, you might see a little bit of crispy bits here and there on some of the leaves, but like that's not even a big deal at all to me. And that's just strictly from like underwatering or going a day or two too long. Even still, there's not a significant amount of damage. This plant is just so pretty, and I find it to be much easier, but still quite similar to the Calathea orbifolia. I always referred to this plant as basically a Calathea orbifolia with the pigment put back in the leaf because they're the same thing. This one's just darker. Here's an update on this guy. There's all the new growth since I moved her. Okay, took a little break. We're back. So this is my Anthurium crystallinum crossed with Forgei. And I'm obsessed with this plant. I just want it to be so much bigger, but patience is key. It was just a little plug whenever I got it. So, patience. But look how perfect this new leaf is. It's so crazy with these hybrids because you really don't know what they're going to look like, and you don't know what the next leaf is going to look like. With the Forgetii, you can fully expect that most all of the leaves are going to have this like rounded sinus. They're not going to have the little lobes at the top, but this was the last newest leaf. This was the new leaf it gave me initially. It's lost all of its previous leaves because it went through a spider mite battle. And you can see it was dark. It's darker than a crystallinum, but it didn't really have the closed sinus, basically. The next leaf it gave me was this one, and it very much looks like a Forgetii, and it has the beautiful venation of a crystallinum, but it has the closed sinus, and I loved that. I was so excited to see that. So this newest leaf, back to an open sinus. It's so crazy to me. So it looks like we're gonna have a mix. It's hard to tell what this plant is fully gonna look like once it is actually mature because it is still a seedling, obviously. But yeah, it was pushing out this new leaf when we left. I mean, it was already out, but it was tiny. And when we got back, it was a big leaf. Not a big leaf, but regular size for the plant. So I don't know if it's actually finished growing yet. I don't know. It hasn't hardened off yet, obviously, but so it could get a little bit larger. It's really hard to tell. Right now, it's basically the same size as the other two previous leaves. But yeah, if you remember, my last couple of leaves had some spider mite damage whenever they were coming in. This one is perfect. Finally got the spider mites on this one under control. It's probably time to do another treatment though before the next new leaf comes in or before we start seeing damage again, because those little boogers really make a comeback. They really do. I don't see anything though right now. So I'm hoping the treatment I've been using is going to be a little bit more long-term and a little bit more of a preventative. But this is our new leaf. And with the crystallinum, the veins are very glittery-esque, very sparkly and pretty. I don't know, I just really love Anthurium hybrids. I find them to be so much less finicky and easier to take care of, more forgiving, if you will, than just like purebred plants. What's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, I think their genetics are a lot more stable and strong, and if you have a healthy specimen, that is. We don't have a closed sinus, but that's okay. The new leaf is absolutely precious, perfect, and I'm obsessed. It's beautiful. Remember how I told you some of these plants are getting ready to get a water? Okay, look at my fainted babe. So the way I have this setting and where it's setting, it's like the vines are all kind of like propped up. So you can't really tell when she faints, when she's thirsty. So I do tend to underwater this one a little bit more than I wish and more than some of my others, just because it's hard to see the signs in time. I didn't actually realize until I pulled it out for this video. But this is my Begonia Benigo pink. And my gosh, it is crazy. Begonias are wild, especially cane begonias. They just grow so ridiculously fast. I love this one though. I really, really love it. And whenever it's watered and all the vines are like standing, it is so stunning. It's so stunning. Yeah, I love a good angel wing begonia. I think they are a classic in the houseplant community, specifically the begonia community. Yeah, so this one comes in with the really dark leaves, these really cute little pink dots. Like, look at that. Look at the pink dots. They're so cute. It has shot off new little vines just all over the place, really. It's pretty incredible. And yeah, it just grows and grows and grows. I'm waiting for this one to actually flower. It's not under the colored lights because it's just so big, but I think I'm going to do some more rearranging soon, and I'm probably going to try to get this one under the colored lights because I don't know. It's not like it needs it. It's growing really well, but I feel like that might encourage it to start flowering, and I just love flowers. I love foliage. Okay, obviously, like, I'm a foliage girl, but I can't lie, I also love blooms. I love blooms, and I think we all get really excited when we see our plants flower, right? Even like my peperomias, who have the most underwhelming flowers of any of the plants I think that I collect, I still get excited seeing the flowers because it means that they're happy. It means that I'm doing something right in my book. So yeah, Begonia Pink Benigo has probably tripled in size since I got her, and she's doing fantastic. Again, really forgiving. I find cane begonias are much more forgiving than the rhizome type begonias. They're just a lot less finicky when it comes to like underwatering and such. But she's a star. She's a star. I'll put in a clip of whenever she's standing at attention, maybe, so you can get like the full vibe. Okay, this one is difficult because it is a big one, but we gotta talk about it. Okay, we gotta talk about it. I never show this plant because it's just where it lives. It's difficult to get to. This is my beautiful Philodendron silver sword, and it's just been doing so well for so long, and I feel guilty because I've not given it any attention. I've not talked about it or bragged on it or taken any photos, like literally nothing in like over a year at least, probably since we moved in here and I put it over there in that corner where it's hard to get to. So I have had a few different specimens of Philodendron silver sword, and I've had the narrow, the not narrow, the regular, whatever. I've never been able to get large leaves on my silver swords ever in my life. And I got this one. When I got this one, it wasn't like climbing or tall. I got it from like a big box store, and it already had mature leaves. It already had bigger leaves, not this big, but bigger. Okay, and I genuinely thought, I was like, this is my last go at a silver sword. I tried everything too to size up the leaves. I genuinely thought after I brought it home, like it was definitely going to downsize and go back to like the tiny puny little ripped up leaves, but it hasn't, and I've had it for quite a long time now. And so, yeah, it does get underwatered. I have to do better, and it sits back there to where like from halfway down probably doesn't get any light because there's other big plants around it, but this part is all getting light from my Mars Hydro. You can just see, like, look at that. It doesn't downsize at all, and it's even grown off the pole that I have it on. So the thing with this one is, while I have it out, I'm going to leave it out because, look, it's completely bare, and it's my own fault. It really is. So I'm going to be chopping it. Yeah, I'm going to chop it, like, right here, and probably put it in moss. I don't know. I have fluval stratum, but I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not experienced with it, but everybody swears by it. I'm just nervous to cut it because I still have that fear in me that if I cut it, it's going to downsize or like lose its size, and I don't want that to happen. So I just think it is so beautiful. These mature leaves with that blue silver sheen to them, it is so gorgeous. You can obviously see who the newest leaf is because it's more green, and they harden off super bluey silver. I am just so impressed with this philodendron and the fact that it's stayed big, and it's actually gotten bigger. It's sized up for me. So I think it's going to be so good. Whenever I cut it and like restart it, can you imagine, and get it back on a pole and stuff, I'm definitely going to keep it somewhere that it can be seen and admired, where I can see it, you can see it, everybody can see it, because it's too beautiful not to, and I'm just so thrilled with her. So this is definitely a favorite. It's just, it looks like this because of my own neglect, basically. And it gets spider mites. It keeps spider mites. Honestly, it always has them. Probably has them right now. So after I cut it, yeah, I see webs. After I cut it, I'm going to wash it down really good and treat it before I put it in moss. Always has spider mites, but there's never any damage. Like, it's just such a trooper, honestly. And I'm obsessed with it. Isn't it pretty? Ooh, leave a comment down below if you would, and let me know if you have a silver sword and what your experience has been, because I'm just curious. I've heard other people say that they've struggled with the silver sword as well and getting it to upsize at all, even with a pole and doing everything right. So I'm curious what y'all's experience with this plant might be as well. I had to show him some love. Getting a chop today. Probably today. I got lots of plant chores to do, y'all. It's kind of a problem, but not really, because I'm excited to do it. I really enjoyed our trip to Florida, but I did miss my plants. But one of my favorite things about my trip to Florida was seeing all of the plants just like growing there outdoors. Massive plants, massive agave, bird of paradise, fiddle leaf figs, dracena. It was pretty cool to get to see them. I've got pictures and stuff with these giant agaves, this giant bird of paradise. It's just like, wow, they really be living their life out here. And I am disappointed because I wanted so badly to get to visit some plant shops there, and there was a couple within like 5 to 10 miles from us. But if you know anything about like a city like that, everywhere we went, basically just about, we walked. You either walk or you Uber, and it takes a long time to get through traffic. Like, traffic is absolutely wild there. Totally different world. If you live in Florida, honestly, I love it. I do. I love Florida. I know everywhere is not like that in Florida, but there was the issue of like, we totally could have took a day to take an Uber and go visit some of these plant stores, but I wanted to buy plants. And that was my issue. It's like, I can't take them back with me on the plane. So it would have to be a shop that would either ship them for me, or we would have to like get them and go get a box and packing material and package it up and ship it to our home ourselves. And we just had so many other things going on, and like, you know, so many other plans. We were doing so many other things that just wasn't something that, unfortunately, that we could squeeze in. So maybe next time, hopefully next time. For now, I'll just stay ordering my plants from Florida online. But and the plants just like growing in their natural environment, just growing on the side of the street, it's like bushes and weeds do here, was really, really spectacular. I enjoyed that very much. Anyway, if I don't talk to you guys before Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays. Hope everybody's staying nice and warm and all your plants are thriving with this time change. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. I will see you again soon in my next one. Love ya. Goodbye.